Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Village of North Hudson Park Board meeting for Tuesday, October 21st at 6 p.m. Roll call. Commissioner Flater.
Here.
Commissioner Ryder.
Present.
Commissioner Helgeson.
Here.
Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
Commissioner Ortner.
Here.
And Commissioner Wolf has resigned but not been formally relieved of his duties from the board, so we'll just leave his name on there. And Chair McGurran here. We have a quorum. We're going to proceed. Item number 2, review and approve minutes. Oops, yes.
Can I add something to our agenda? Well,
Sure.
I can procedurally, but is that okay?
Sure.
I'd like just to have a discussion of the Browns Beach parking lot. That gained a lot of discussion at the Planning Commission last week, so I thought it'd be appropriate to discuss it.
Why don't we do it under item 6? And I have some updates I can share, and I bet Matt does as well. Or if not, I won't put you on the spot, Matt, but there's some things I can share. So we'll add that under item 6 on the status update for the parks. Okay. First item, review and approve minutes from Park Board meeting of September 16th, 2025. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So motion by Commissioner Helgeson. Is there a second?
Second?
2 seconds. I heard Commissioner Ryder first, so a second. Any discussion on the minutes? Once, twice. Gone. All those in favor of approving the minutes from September 16th, 2025 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Now we'll go to comments from the floor. This is an opportunity for Village of North Hudson residents, property or business owners to make the park board aware of topics, issues, or opportunities on or not on today's agenda. Is there any comments from the floor, from the public? Hearing none, we'll close item 3 and go to item 4, St. Croix County Outdoor Recreational Plan and November 20th public hearing discussion only. So this is an item that I asked to have brought to the park board to make everyone aware that St. Croix County Community Development is going to have a public hearing Thursday, November 20th at 5 p.m. at the St. Croix County Government Center in the county boardroom on 1101 Carmichael Road. And the outdoor recreation plan is being updated. It's for 2026 to 2030. And you can get a copy of it online at stcroixcounty.gov. I just Googled in their search engine outdoor recreational plan. I wanted to bring a couple things to the park board's attention that are in the recreation plan. And the first thing is that their first goal is implementation of the St. Croix County Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan to provide a comprehensive countywide trail system for residents and tourism in cooperation with cities, villages, towns, special interest groups, and the highway department. And there is a separate plan that the county has for bike and pedestrian trail information. And they've got that as one of their goals is for implementation. And I just thought that's been a topic that we've talked about and it'll be on our agenda today. And that may be of interest for this board. And then their second goal was to identify, evaluate, and secure lands to protect scenic landscapes, threatened species and habitats in environmentally sensitive areas, historic and cultural sites, and native natural areas. And one of the items underneath that goal was to investigate abandoned railroad corridors for trail systems when available. And that item was something that I thought this committee has discussed and may be interested in. And then their 8th goal was to coordinate with other units of government to provide recreational activities, access, education, and preservation of natural and historic and cultural resources. And they will provide assistance in their plan with park and recreation planning services for local municipalities and incorporate village plans into the St. Croix County Outdoor Recreation Plan when requested by local communities and coordinate facilities with organizations to complement offerings that they have. So it seems like there's some opportunities for us to like hear from them. And I was wondering, as part of the discussion, if the park board would be interested in asking them to come and talk about their plan once it's updated and official. I see nodding.
Yeah.
All right, so we can, we'll put that on for a future agenda item, and then I would encourage anyone who wants to go to the public hearing. I went to their public hearing that they did on the county's comprehensive plan, and they had it set up really nicely with different stations and staff, and they answered questions and provided information. It was very helpful to understand what the county's vision is, and same thing for this, and especially since they're specifically lining up some of their plan with local municipalities. Any other topics? Yeah. Sure. I'm going to repeat the date. Thursday, November 20th, 5 p.m. at the St. Croix County Government Center County Boardroom. And the plan itself is online. Public hearing. Okay, anything else on that? We'll put that on for a future agenda item. And then again, encourage anyone to attend that's interested. Okay, our next item is St. Croix Bike and Pedestrian Trail Coalition discussion and possible recommendation. Susan is here and she'll come up and you know the drill, Susan.
And how to spell my name.
Yes, please.
My name is Susan Heiser, H-E-U-I-S as in Sam, E-R, and I live in Stillwater. And I'm here to talk to you about our last meeting in September of the Trestle Park Committee. And I have three things. Two of them are real quick, and the other one might take a little bit of time, but I'm hoping it will be something you're interested in, worth your time. So the first thing I wanted to tell you was our National Park Service advisor went on furlough when the government shut down. But somewhere, somehow, somebody found money from last year and she's back at work. So she is available to help us with whatever plan we might try to get together for some kind of a community meeting, and that's a good thing. She's a wonderful resource. And then the second thing that we did talk about having a joint village and city park board meeting, and our group thought that October was too quick. The park board chair in Hudson is on our board, and he said we already have our October board meeting set. So since you all thought not get into the holiday season, we wondered what you thought about starting in January. It seems like a little bit of a delay, but you have a lot going on at the village. We might know a lot more by January about things that would be important to that discussion. So the January date, then we wondered about what you thought the Trestle Park Committee's role should be, if anything. Maybe the two park boards just want to get together. Maybe you want to have a convener. Maybe you want to have a moderator. I'm not quite sure, what you were thinking about our involvement, but I know our group wants the discussion to be between the two park boards. And certainly a lot of input if we are going to help with that. And then my last one, we already, I think we have some input, I was wondering about the location for a meeting. And Mary, if you want to say what the River Channel gentleman said he heard at the city park board about location.
Sure. Nate from River Channel suggested that if we are going to have a joint meeting, that it be held at the village. If we wanted it available through the River Channel, be held here because we've got a different mic system that they can better use to capture the number of people that would be here because of a joint meeting.
So, yeah, if, you know, in the location, if we had it, we have availability. One of our board members suggested that the fire hall in the city would be a nice place, but I've tried to reserve that place before, and the lady tells me that really it needs to be the mayor or the fire department. They don't really rent that out or share that room. Maybe Pat, as the park board, could get us there, or we, as the Trestle Park Committee, meet at the Phipps Center. So I don't know if the fire hall has video, but the Phipps Center does not. It would be a meeting without video recording. I don't know if that's an issue or not, but just some things to consider a little bit. So I guess I'd like a little bit of input. We're going to meet next week. We meet 6 days after you all meet. It's kind of a kind of backwards, but is January something that you think you'd like to work toward for a joint meeting if we can get it together?
I think so.
I see heads nodding yes.
Heads nodding yes.
We got nothing else to do.
Okay, in the dead of winter, we can, we can meet, okay. And maybe we need to do a little bit of investigation about if we need to, you know, have a video, if we need to post an agenda, all of those kinds of issues.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I think we would want it to be public, just because it seems like that's what we should do. It should be
Yeah.
public.
Right.
You had mentioned a convener or a moderator. I'm not really sure, under what authority we would meet together.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I guess it would have to be a formal meeting because we'd have the whole park board here. But how we would actually set that up, and who would convene it, we need to do a little investigation into that.
Sure.
Because I don't know, like, under Robert's rules, which we operate, how that would actually happen, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's why we need to wait till January.
Right.
A lot of unanswered questions.
Right, but I'm seeing that there's interest. We expressed interest last meeting, still interest. So are you the person that is connecting to the Hudson Park Board, or how should we be making these connections?
I can connect through Pat. Why don't I talk to Pat first, and then let
Okay.
me talk to him and see if he wants to talk with you or what our role wants to be. We'll talk
Okay.
next Monday night about what he thinks might work. And okay, and so the third thing I want to talk to you about is a visit we had at our September meeting from a land trust organization talking to us about conservation easements, and Amy's going to pass out an information sheet for you to keep. Conservation easements are a way that you protect property, preserve something that's special about a particular property. They are, landmark conservation owns a lot, or they don't own, they hold a lot of conservation easements on a lot of property in western Wisconsin. They joined a couple of years ago with a land trust organization up in Bayfield, so they have a lot of property that they're holding conservation easements on up around Bayfield as well. So one of the things that anyone who's going to put a conservation easement on a piece of property needs to know is that it is in perpetuity, which means that if the owner decides to sell the land, he sells it to the second owner. The conservation easement applies to the second owner as well as the first. So 100 years from now, a conservation easement will still be on a piece of property, no matter who owns the property. So a little bit about the difference between ownership and conservation easement. Usually, the owner is different. The owner of the property is different from the conservation easement holder. Not always. Landmark Conservancy owns some of the land that they hold the conservation easement on. But as I'm walking down through these items of information. I personally know a man and his wife who have a 40-acre farm, and they put a conservation easement on their property. So as I talk about giving examples, I'll refer to their property instead of the property down here on Lake Malibu that we would be considering something like this for. So most of the time, the owner is different from the conservation easement holder. So the people who can seek to put are the organizations that can seek to put a conservation easement on a property, private individuals, private corporations, nonprofits, but also, and in this case, the property that we're talking about, it can be local, state, and federal units of government. So all those properties that are surrounding the two parcel properties are jointly owned in varying degrees by the city, the county, the village, and the town of Hudson. Some of them, all four, others different configurations. But each of those organizations is capable of assigning a conservation easement to a parcel of property. And then Rick Remington emphasized pretty strongly that generally an owner of a piece of property who is looking to file a conservation easement on his property gives up something. So my friends who own a 40-acre farm, it's across from Standing Cedars, which is right on St. Croix River up in Polk County. And what they give up when they put a conservation easement on their land is the ability to develop it into housing later on. And they'd give that up for everybody else who ever buys their land because the conservation is in perpetuity. So it's a serious contract that is formed, and it's a legal one. In addition, there is a provision, and he was very careful to emphasize this, that there is no enhanced value allowed when a property owner puts conservation easement on a property. In other words, he cannot benefit financially from some kind of a land swap or some kind of a money or any way. And my friends put a conservation easement on their farm, and they know that it will never be developable. They will have to sell it for some kind of use that is okay with conservation easements. So he was very particular about that, no enhanced value. Let's see. The other piece that he was very careful to note was that if an owner of a property wants to put a conservation easement and he wants to put some kind of a building or whatever he's going to put, a park, building, business, whatever, it can't be in a concept format. It has to be a format that has gone through the permitting agencies and gotten all the permits that are necessary to build something that then legally he has to build what he has said he was going to build. So the village is a permitting authority for these parcels that are down on Lake Malibu. So it would be here that if someone, any of the county or Bruce Linson or anyone else wanted to put a conservation easement, it would be here. They would come to get all their permitting for whatever it is they wanted to do. No concepts. He emphasized clearly there's a cost to putting a conservation easement on a property. It's a legal document, and so you have to get legal advice. It's a very complicated, and will be a very complicated if it's considered for this because of the joint ownerships. And then another cost is all of the permitting that's required to get whatever you want on that property. My friends don't want to put anything on it right now. They're farming it right now. But the next owner, if he wanted to put something on, it would be something that an expense that he would have to do. The give back for that is there's a tax deduction if you put a conservation easement as an owner on your property. It can last you up to 15 years, but that depends on what your income is. If you have a huge income, it's probably only going to last you 2 or 3. If you're a modest landholder, it probably will last you the whole 15. There's also a tax deduction if you donate land for a conservation easement. Same rules apply. You know, you have to go see your tax provider for your particular situation, and it is only for 6 years though, not 15. Let's see. And the reason Rick was interested in this property, and it is very different from most of the properties that Landmark Conservancy owns. Usually it's big acreage that they have, and a lot of times along a river or along Lake Superior up in Bayfield. This one is very small, but he was interested in, and I'm going to make sure I read what he said, because of the impact on the recreational community. That's what his interest is. So he's interested in parks and river access and those kinds of issues. That would be what he thought his conservation company would be interested in. I think I skipped over one up here. He did say there's enhanced federal rules over the last several years because apparently people were trying to make money by placing conservation easements on their land. And so there is an enhanced oversight to make sure that that doesn't happen. And that goes along with the last bullet here about he is always concerned if a developer comes into Landmark Conservancy and wants to put a conservation easement, because generally they've spent a lot of money on land and they want to get the money out of their land. They're not wanting to donate land, generally. So he's a little more concerned about a developer who might be talking about a conservation easement. But you can see there's federal oversight for that. So it's a serious consideration, but it's a tool in a box, in the box of things that we can be talking about the properties down on Lake Malibu. And if you have questions, I'm not sure I'll be able to answer them, but I know where to ask the question.
Does anyone on the park board have any questions for the committee? The Bike and Pedestrian Trail Coalition, I mean. Okay, thank
Okay.
you, Susan. Very interesting information.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, next item that we have is a status update on village parks discussion and possible recommendations. So this is where we'll put some updates on Browns Beach, and also where I wanted to have this as a standing item so that if anyone on the park board had a issue, concern, something related to a park that was brought to their attention, that they would want to share with the board, at the park board at this point. So is there anything based on your interactions with the community or your interactions with the parks that you want to bring up at this time? And then hearing nothing, we'll go to the Browns Beach discussion. So Randall, I know you were on the at the Plan Commission meeting. You want to just share your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I had, I think probably 3 takeaways. Number one, I heard that the beach isn't used much. That 3 weeks is what I heard, 3 weekends, and that there aren't a lot of people using it. People said they like the beach, they like the enhancements that have been done, but they said the usage is not great. I think they were talking in that direction because they were there opposing the construction of the parking facility. And so I think they were trying to make the statement that there's probably not need for a parking lot because there aren't that many people using the beach, and therefore parking's not an issue. They didn't say that outright. The other issue is there seemed to be confusion in terms of what that parking lot, I'll call it, what the status of that is. Now, it was my understanding that the village had abandoned that piece. But there seemed to be the understanding that that's still a right-of-way. that wasn't answered, that question. So in my mind, because the planning commission discussed that, I think maybe a year ago, to abandon that piece. And that when you abandon a piece of the property that the village owns, it reverts to the owners of the property that are adjacent to that. So the village would be removed from oversight over that piece, that parcel that's in question. So none of the property owners surrounding the beach were in favor of the parking lot. I would have to say those that appeared were not in favor of it. They have hired an attorney. He was there. He circulated a memo to the board. I think his main concern was that if that still is a right-of-way, then the village can't make a parking lot. They have to allow the citizens to make use of the designated right-of-way. They said he said in his memo that if their concerns weren't answered, I'll read from his piece. If you persist in your plans for the parking lot, my clients have authorized me to take actions that are necessary and warranted to prevent the village from proceeding with these plans, including legal action requesting a temporary restraining order. The other thing I heard, I think it was 4 residents, maybe 3, the cost. They thought that was prohibitively expensive for the minimal use that they perceived it would be given. They felt it was voiced, I think, by 2 residents that that money could be used better elsewhere in the village.
Okay, so a little bit of background to that. So the park board, you may recall that item came to us about supporting a parking lot on Browns Beach. It was a motion that was brought by our park superintendent, public works director, and and the estimated cost, I think, was approximately $48,000. And we had voted and approved that motion and sent it to the village board. The village board also reviewed that motion and voted to support that. So that was a decision that we recommended to the village board. It was a village board decision to move forward. And then the village board the village attorney, I think, can't remember. Anyway, it needed to go back to the plan commission because it's like a structure. So it went back to plan commission. So that issue I know was discussed at plan to come back to the park board, but I did get in touch with Gina that I didn't feel that it was a park board issue, that it belonged back at the village board or with the village staff, because it's a staff recommendation. And it's really, I think, outside of the purview of the park board at this point. We took our vote, we made our decision and sent it up. Matt, do you have any, does that sound true to you? Does that sound like the process that we're following?
Yeah, I think right now it's discontent of the surrounding community. It's more of a board issue than a park board. I think it's got to go through some processes, and they'll decide ultimately what they want to do at that level, I think, is and it might go back to plan. But yeah, I've got really no input other than that on it.
Okay, so the assertion about the ownership of the land, that's like a legal issue that we can't address here. So I don't know that we're going to do a do-over. Are you, is there some action that you'd like the park board to take?
No, I think it's important for the board to know that, I guess the action that was, that resulted in some of the initial work being done on that, the action is attributed to this body. So I think there's an understanding that we are the ones that are doing this. So
Yeah,
I
and
think
that-
that's an important thing. The citizens have that impression.
Yes, correct. Yes, I heard that, and that isn't accurate. It's a board decision. We don't have any spending authority. We can't, it's outside of the purview of the park board. It really is owned by the village board. And I know there was also multiple comments at the plan commission that the park board had not responded to the questions. Like, one of them was like deer having impact on deer habitat and increased public urination and other things. So I did respond to those questions after the meeting. I didn't realize that they were waiting for an answer. So I did draft a response. I don't have email for that person who made the public comment, but Gina thought that she would be able to get that to them. So I did respond to those questions that were brought up at public comment here. But I don't believe that it's owned by the park board, that issue, that decision any longer. We can't spend any money. It's definitely not ours.
I have a question. Not last month, but the month before, we talked about how we needed benches and maybe having some residents sponsor some of those to offset the cost.
Yes.
Did we go anywhere further with that, or?
Not on my end.
Okay.
I'll follow up. What I did have a conversation with Gina, and she felt like that was something that we could do
Okay.
from the village. I'm sure it's just more of a staff capacity issue, so I'll round back
Okay.
with her. That's a really good question
Thank you.
about, yep, making that opportunity available to people. I think we have to figure out like how we would collect the money and.
Logistics,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But thank you for bringing that up. I will follow up on that and do an update at our next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Other things on Village Park, updates? Matt, anything that you would want us to be aware of for park status?
Not too much.
Oh, you have your update later, sorry.
Yeah, I guess I'll wait until.
Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, anything else on the parks from the park board status? Okay, next, comprehensive plan update, page 55 and 56. So, thank you, Gina, for printing up and having Matt. Matt, thank you for bringing the pages of the proposed comprehensive plan. So the original comprehensive plan was modified by the Plan Commission, and they passed the modified version at the Plan Commission meeting and are moving that forward. It'll go to the village board for a final vote. And because there's a section about the parks that includes the goals, and it has somewhat changed from what it was originally, but a lot of the concepts are still there. I thought it would be important that the committee saw what was in there and were aware that this is going to be voted on by the village board. And just, there we are. Okay, so the goal is to provide quality parks and recreational facilities with an objective of enhancing community pride through well-maintained and engaging outdoor spaces. And the strategies are to improve on our outdoor recreational plan, which is something that we need to get on our agenda and start working on our outdoor recreational plan. And I think understanding what the county is doing will help us in that process. That seems like a process that we'll be starting. Another strategy is to address critical issues of erosion at Ferry Landing Park through targeted interventions, ensure park maintenance meets high standards for safety, accessibility, and aesthetics. And then another objective is to leverage partnerships and external funding for parks and recreation. The strategies are to apply for grants to fund park improvements and recreational programming, collaborate with local nonprofit organizations to support planning, maintenance, and community events, and to use the St. Croix County Outdoor Recreational Plan as a guiding document for aligning with regional priorities and securing funding. So that's what's going to go in front of the village board to vote on. And when that is the final version that's confirmed, we'll certainly talk about that when it's finalized as well. Is there any comments or questions from the park board regarding the proposed comprehensive plan? Okay, thank you. Next item is the director's update.
Don't have too much, a little bit about some of the discussions going on in finance. We do have roughly $50,000 unassigned for the parks and about $100,000 of unassigned that finance is looking to send to the board for approval to put towards Chief Jansen Memorial Park, and then we've submitted for grants and things like that, so we don't exactly have a total of what we're gonna, and it's not been voted on, but we're looking at about $150,000 from the village, and then any grants and funding that we may get. We put forth a bunch of grants, thanks to the community for helping send letters and whatnot for the grants, and that's about all I've got.
So there's we're expecting that the finance committee will be asking the board to approve $150,000 in funding next year for Chief Jansen Park updates.
Correct, yep, 50 from the parks funds and transferring 100 from unassigned.
And we don't know the status of the community grant that was
No,
applied
that'll
for.
be, and I should have an update in November.
Awesome, awesome. And then you have someone here to.
For number 9, yeah,
Okay.
the next one.
Is there anything else on the director update?
No.
What do you think about putting the Arbor Day celebration for next year on our next agenda and start some planning around that? Are we a Tree City yet?
No, because so the applications just opened up in October, so the application's in, but
Okay,
it was closed when we elected to go forth with that.
so we'll know,
We meet the requirements, so I don't think they'll exclude us.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for the process.
okay. Thank you.
And then the DNR grant has been submitted, and we'll know next month, if we got that, to put trees back into our parks that we had to remove because of disease.
How much was that? Do you remember?
It's a 50/50 grant, so if we put in 5,000, they'll give us an additional 5,000, so about $10,000 in tree things.
Super. Thank you. Okay, that ends the director's
Yep,
update?
that's all I got.
Okay, now we're gonna go to community input and engagement discussion only. Matt, you've got someone that's here to talk to the park board?
Yeah, I've invited a couple different park, I think planners you'd call it. And we did have one show up to kind of show us what we can get for that $150,000 range. And then if we do secure grants, what additional things we could get with a little bit more money. So it's Megan from Playground Structures? Landscape Structures.
Megan, you want to just, full name, spelling of your name, and then your company and where your company's located?
Sure, it's Megan Barrett, Meghan, Barrett, Barrett. I'm with Gerber Leisure Products, and we represent Landscape Structures Playground Equipment, which is manufactured in Delano, Minnesota.
Thank you.
Gerber is in Mount Horeb, but I'm actually local to Hudson, which is exciting. And then, let's see. Okay, so I met with Matt, I think it was like a month ago maybe, out at the park, and we came up with 2 options, like you said, one at the 150 mark and then another at 250, just in case you get the extra funding. And so my proposal kind of has like some fancy stuff at the beginning, more about our company and Gerber and things like that. Just for time's sake, I don't know if I want to, it could take me like a while to go through all of it, but he has a copy of this, so he can always send you that later. Like there's videos and all of that in there, but. Skip some of that. All right, so this is our first option, and renderings are tough to get the full picture of things sometimes because it's not real. But throughout the presentation, I have some links to real life images, some videos, again, that you guys can watch probably at a different time. unless you guys want me to take a long time. But just to give you an overview, this is that existing asphalt path that goes around the park, and then we use the exact same existing footprint that's already there. Right now, I think you guys have like a little structure, a couple overheads, and then some adult fitness workout equipment. Talking with Matt, the adult fitness equipment is not used, so we didn't go that route for any of these designs. Based on some community feedback from the neighborhood, people were excited about more overhead events, more climbers, swings. They don't want to get rid of those. There's already 3 bays, so we did the same amount here. Spinners were important, and then just more equipment for older kids was also a specific ask. And so over here where my mouse is where that gazebo is, or the shelter is right now. And then we added just a little bit of concrete access into the design to get into the playground. Because ADA rules have changed in the past since 2010. And so that's required now to get into the play space, is some sort of access. Another thing that Matt said is that the neighborhood wanted nature equipment or nature themed. So both of these designs have a nature theme to them. For the first option, we have our treetops, it's called, which is part of our Smart Play line. And I like to say that basically it's pre-configured, pre-designed to have everything in it that you'd want. It has a tall slide, small slides, a bunch of different climbers that are all unique, an overhead event, accessible route, basically everything in there. There's shade, integrated shade, which is really nice for kids and parents when they're out at the park. I'm a parent myself to a 3-year-old and a 4.5-month-old. And they actually, is this being recorded?
Yeah.
It is, okay.
You don't have to say anything you don't want to say.
It's also live.
I'll tell you after. Oh, it is? Okay. And then we also did a structure for 2 to 5-year-olds. So this treetop structure has just a ton of cable climbers. It's very like everything moves on it. It's wiggly. It's really fun for that 5 to 12 age group. So how playgrounds work these days, if I'm saying something you already know, I'm so sorry. But basically you split the ages up between 5 to 12 and 2 to 5. A 5 to 12-year-old structure cannot be compliant for 2-year-olds, basically. And that treetop structure is really challenging, so I like to show, you had the budget and the space to show a 2 to 5 structure too. Which is called the Sprig. It kind of has like again, that nature feel to it. So on the treetops, there's moving pieces. There's a little bit of a chime component as well that I'll show you. I tried to avoid anything with too much music just because there's so many houses around here. There's a jig-jag climber, we call it, which is you climb up and it's a fire pole down. That's a big hit. And then you'll see here, this is kind of where people enter the structure, one route anyways. There's a belting material with footprints in it of animals that are perforated through there. An overhead event, there's swinging overheads right here for kids, and then a wire that they can balance across right here. And when designing the playground, we try really hard to think about how the kid might play. So if they're playing hot lava, how can they go from point A to point B successfully? Can they try something new as they get older? And will it still be exciting for them? Because again, for a neighborhood playground, it's important to think about the kids that are coming to this park probably live around the area and are going to be growing up with this structure. So will it still be exciting for them in 5 years? And this structure really hones in on that. So again, the way to get to the small slide is definitely easier than the ways to get up to the tall slide. But even to get to the tall slide, there's 3 different ways to get up to this area. So there's a ladder, and then there's this taller climber, and then there's this climber that goes here up to the ladder. So again, kids can choose whichever way they want to go to get to that tall slide. Again, here's some real life images. In the panel to get on, there's marbles integrated in there, so it's kind of a sensory experience for kids. They can play with the marbles and watch light go in between there, which again is just it's really beautiful, but it's also a cool way to use the space that's already there. Here's the tall slide. It's called our Alpine slide, or as my daughter calls it, the swooshy slide. It's really big, really fun. And then here's a leaf climber. So again, it has that nature feel to it, going up into the treetops, kind of giving that kids that adventure feeling. This climber, you can crawl through it, crawl above it. We're really big on unscripted play. So again, letting kids enter from one way one day and then coming back and entering from the other way and doing a loop of play. And by the time they're done playing on the structure, they're tired and they're ready to go home. And sleep through the night, hopefully. And then we have a curva spinner, our curva spinner, so it's super fast. You can get a few kids on it. Huge hit, super popular for that 5 to 12 age group. Here's a cool aerial view of the structure. So again, you can see that all of the climbers are different. They have a different look, a different feeling. You can see those the animal footprint perforations in the belting. Here's that overhead. And then right up the middle, there's also our ozone climber. So basically you can climb up the center, you can climb over the sides. It wiggles a little bit. Over here is that chime I was mentioning. So a little bit of, again, accessible play toward the bottom. If you don't want to go up to the top of the structure either, you can play with things around it. A balancing component on the bottom, and then that's that climber, that tall climber that goes up to the top slide. For swings, there are a lot of cool options for swings these days, and so I had some fun with this. But of course, we have some tot swings, which are really important for those younger kids. Definitely recommend having those in there for a neighborhood park. And then our belt swings are awesome as well. It's very traditional. But what I like to say about swing seats is our commitment to quality does not stop even with just a general belt seat. They're super durable and awesome. And then our friendship swing is a parent-child swing or a parent-parent swing or a child-child swing. So both seats are the same size, but it's a really comfortable seat with belting material that you can swing on with your peer or your parent. This is the 2 to 5 structure, the sprig. So again, it has some shade. There's a little play table integrated into the ladder going up to the slide. A belting climber going up to this structure as well. So again, it has that belting material. It has hand grips, areas to hold on. And then we have a leaf panel, which has those marbles again, which, as you can see, is really fun and beautiful. And then the sprig toppers, again, these are just accents. They come with the structure, but they kind of go with that nature feel. They're really beautiful, all metal. And then there's also a leaf that moves up and down both sides of the panel across the bridge in the middle. So there's lots of, as the little kids love to touch and feel stuff. It's all about tactile, what can I touch along the way, on the way down. So there's plenty of stuff for kids to touch on here and just explore as they go. And then there's another slide on the other side. So you have 2 slides, both different. One's a double slide, more chimes, some steppers. So again, you have a ladder, a stepper, our vertical or our summit climber, which looks like that. So these are all really great for this age group, but they're all different, which again is important to note just because it's more exciting when things are different each time they come back. And then we have our Seek and Find. So this is a panel that has animal tracks infused right on it, this like beautiful imagery of, one side has a river with a salmon on it, which I know there's no river with salmon, but that's just like the standard one. And then on the other side is the tracks that you can go find. So basically around the whole playground area, we would hide like 5-inch medallions that are riveted right to the posts. And then the kids can go run and seek and find them. And they're not going anywhere. So, but it's really fun ad. This is our Revy wheel, which is a personal favorite of mine. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. There's a center wheel in the middle, and so kids can spin the entire thing themselves while they're sitting on it. It's really fast and really fun. And the reason the wheelchair is showing that this is at wheelchair transfer height. So if someone is in a wheelchair, it's at a great height for them to be able to transfer out and sit on this spinner. Similar with the transfer modules on both structures, the friendship swing and the belt swings. There's another view. This is real life images of what that sign would look like with the Seek and Find play. So it's very realistic and very beautiful, which again, I know you're talking about aesthetics for your parks. It's going to be just a beautiful panel in general that also adds play. We can also customize it, which I'll get to that with option 2. There's an overall view of the park, again, just to give you bearings of where it is. So it uses the same footprint. We overlaid it over what's there right now. So the swings are in the same spot. The 2 to 5 would take up where that fitness equipment is right now, and then the main structure would take up where everything else is. As far as cost, this is the one at $150, and so the equipment is around $119, and then I have a discount in there for being a Hudson resident. And then professional installation, we have professional certified crews that can come install. We also do project management of the whole project, so we see it from start to finish. We come and do a final walkthrough, make sure everything's safe and compliant, and then give you the heads up or the thumbs up. I was talking to Matt, and it sounds like the village would be able to remove the existing playground, remove the sand and the border and replace it with a new wood border, and then do the site prep, basically for us to come in and install the playground. We can do all those things too, so if it ever comes down to it where you want us to do that work, we can. And then I also provide, which is on the second page, the individual list pricing of all the equipment too, so if you ever wanted to go through it and decide maybe you want a different spinner or something, the pricing of everything is on there for you. And then option 2 is bigger, because this is the 250 option. We went with a bigger 5 to 12 structure with more freestanding stuff for 2 to 5, just to show the difference and knowing that more climbing and more 5 to 12 was want here. And so there's a lot to unpack. Here we go. So there's two kind of main ways to get on the structure. There's a transfer module here. Going up all the way, a kid can basically walk all the way over to these two slides. And then if they wanted to, they can crawl over to this slide, which links over to this climber. So again, that hot lava, you can kind of go point A to B, over back to C, over to E. So you can go whichever way you want, but it's all connected, which is fun. And then it's also different types of play. So again, to get up to this slide, you're gonna have to climb up. To get over to these two slides, you can walk right over there. So those are some things we look at when we're designing a park, is to make sure that you're kind of having the best of both worlds in that scenario. And then we did get a little slide on there as well. So these two are 6 feet tall. This one's 8 foot, and this one I believe is a little under 4. And then we have swings in there. And we have one spinner, which is cut off right there, but I think I have a better view of it soon. So we have that jig jag climber again. It's super popular, so I wanted to show it twice. But that fire pole is basically like a slide, except not. Like, you get a chance to kind of go. Kids love it. It's super popular. And it doesn't take up that much space, which is great. And then another overhead ladder. We have a balancing component here, which is a tightrope bridge. So again, kids can kind of use their imaginations as they go across this. This is our skyport climber, which again, there's a video, but basically it's all nets. So you can climb up the middle, you can go through the sides. It's very unscripted. Again, you can figure out how you want to play on it. There's belting material integrated throughout it, so if someone wants to climb up but needs to take a rest, they can sit on part of the belting and take a breather if they need to. This is that alpine slide, and there's a good view of the skyport climber in the background. There's our double slide. We also like to make sure that we're integrating solid climbers with net climbers, so there are some changes in how the kids climb. Some kids don't like cable climbers when they're younger because they wiggle. So you give kids the chance to choose how they want to play and get up the structure. We have that secret climber, so this is similar to the one on the first option, which is where you can go through it, climb through it, and then climb up it. We also have our periscope panel that's hot air balloon themed, which I thought was a nod to Hudson. And then it kind of went with the colors, and it's standard, so it's pretty fun. This is our whoosh winder, and we have a swirly slide, a big swooshy slide, and then on the other side, which we'll get to that, the traveler climber is one of my favorite components. It is a bridge climber, but also an overhead event. So underneath there's monkey bars. Mm-hmm. Nice. So there's 3 sets of monkey bars on this playground. Mm-hmm. Over here we have our pentagon climber, which is just another way to climb across. Our double swoosh slide, which is steeper and super fun. Very popular. This is our swiggle knots bridge, so again, a different way to balance across. And then we have a ladder that goes up to the deck as well. And then these both have like a lumber recycled plastic look to them. So again, high durable, high quality material, but you get that wood look to kind of tie into the nature theme. You'll also notice we have some marsh toppers on here. those we added again to give it a nature feel. They don't need to be on the playground. We can remove them easily. But we showed them to start. And then this is another hot air balloon themed panel, but basically kids can like peer through this clear plastic out to their caregiver, their friend. But from the inside of the deck, it looks like they're peering out of a hot air balloon. This is our chill spinner. Super fun, super relaxing, spin on an axis. Really comfortable with that belting material. So it's pretty similar to the Friendship Swing as far as design. That was in option 1. Wood plank ladder. There's that marsh cattail topper. And then there's another view of the hot air balloon periscope. So when you peer through that, you can kind of look around the playground from the other side. For 2 to 5, we have a saddle spinner. So it's single user, sit spinner, really good for the younger age group. And then we also have a butterfly spring rider. So it has a little bit of a rock back and forth. And then we made a little tree house, clubhouse area to have some snacks or meet a friend. If we need to, we can remove the roof, things like that, but can't go wrong with some added shade and just imaginative play with that. There's a match 4 panel, so it's a game that they can play. We have tic-tac-toe. And then we have another seek and find, which is with insects. And so these 5 critters would have medallions that are all hidden out throughout too. Which, what I was going to say earlier is we could customize this to be hot air balloons that they have to go and find of different colors or different themed hot air balloons. And then that's what the table looks like. And then there's also like a maze that they can trace with their finger that's carved right into the table. And then again, our swings, but for this option, we didn't show the Friendship Swing. And we're showing a molded bucket seat with a harness, which is great for kids that need additional support with swinging. So just another option, which you can always swap things in and out with each option depending on what you like. So for spinners, climbers, really that's all very flexible with this option. Again, there's the layout. And then this was cost for this one. So right under that $250 mark for the equipment, freight, and installation.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Megan. Any questions?
I have a number of questions.
Yes.
Talk about the ground cover.
So it would be certified wood fiber versus the sand that's there now.
Okay.
The other option that we talked about is you could do poured in place rubber, which is far more expensive initially, but maintenance overall is going to be easier over time. I think I quoted out the first option to see what that would look like. If you did end up with 250, but you liked the first option, let's say, like if you could afford rubber with that, and you could surface most of it in rubber, but not all of it for that 250 for that first option, if you wanted to go that route. We can also do areas of poured in place rubber within wood chips, so to accessible areas or under things, components with high use, like spinners. You'll see the wood chips disperse because of kids' feet or under swings, or at the base of slides. It's pretty common to see that too.
What about maintenance of the modules themselves?
Yeah, so overall maintenance, you're gonna wanna check on like swings more often because they're moving components, spinners, things like that. But our equipment is super durable, and we're kinda here to help you with that, with the maintenance side of things. So again, if Matt has a question and something comes up, he can always call me and we're there to help. Our replacement parts have a 2 to 3 week lead time too. And we're still providing replacement parts for playgrounds from the 90s.
What about warranty?
Our warranty depends on the component and the material. So like our posts have a 100-year warranty. Our plastic components have a 15-year warranty. And then if something like comes up, so say you see something that broke and Matt sends me a picture, I'll look into it with our team. But we have a really good warranty. Landscape Structure stands behind their equipment. It's an employee-owned company, and so the employees are truly invested in like making sure the equipment's successful, which is really important to note as well. So making sure that you're not left high and dry either after a sale. Gerber Leisure Products is very big about making sure we're there with you after a sale is made too, which is important to note because you don't always get that post-sale service.
Does Gerber actually produce the modules? Construct them?
Landscape Structures does in Delano, Minnesota. Gerber, so each state has their own rep for Landscape Structures. So we, Gerber, only provide landscape structures in the state of Wisconsin.
Can I assume that a Gerber goes out and obtains feedback after they've installed these modules to determine perhaps potentially what modifications may need to be made to the equipment?
Yeah, for sure. Yep, we get feedback a lot, and I love getting feedback because that's how you learn and that's how you know how to be a better consultant, you know?
Other questions? Michelle's sold.
No, it's just nice, very nice presentation.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Presentation was nice.
Thanks.
I have a question about the shade on the first design.
Yeah.
What happens when it snows?
So it has a certain snow amount that it can handle. I don't have that off the top of my head. But you can remove it in the winter if you want it to last longer.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to, but the snow load and wind load is important to note in case like a huge storm is coming or something. And that's something I would let you know about before.
Super.
Yeah.
And Matt, you said that you have within existing resources the ability to do the prep work for that. Is that what I?
Yeah, we can do all the base work and clear the stuff out.
Other questions or comments? Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
It's very exciting.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yes, I think you saw, if you saw everyone's faces, it's exciting. So future agenda items, we have update on the benches, an update on Tree City, update on the DNR grant. I'm going to add a discussion on portable toilets at some of the parks, and a park advisory committee, which we have talked about at some meetings, and that's where I think some of the final decisions of this would be for the structures would be helpful. I'll have an update on the county, discussion with the county to come and present their plan for helping us update our own park plan. And obviously the St. Croix County the St. Croix Bike and Pedestrian Trail Coalition update and a potential for a joint meeting with Hudson Parks. Anything else?
Did you put bench sponsorship in?
Yes.
there? Okay.
Yep.
And then Arbor Day
Yes,
update, DNR grant update, okay.
yes, yep, Arbor.
I can help with, we actually do a lot of benches like memorial benches with various customers that do that type of program.
Oh,
And so I can always send you like resources of the ones I've seen be
you like that,
done.
Matt?
Sure.
But we represent do more site furnishings too, so,
If you could send that to Matt, that would be great.
yeah.
And then you said the outdoor recreation plan?
Yes.
Did you already did you say that? For
Yes.
the next one? Okay.
Yes, yep. The St. Croix County one, and then to help feed the village, like the discussion of our own.
So our own and the county?
Yeah, yep. Okay,
Thank you.
I have a question.
yes.
I'll call it the Chief Jansen project. How's that progressing? How do you see that as progressing?
So the village board will be voting on the finance committee will forward a budget to the board, and the board will vote on that budget, most likely next month, November. So once the money is available,
Then we'll let the project, notify it, go out for bid, we'll come up with, so like our plan, if you make a planning group, we'll outline exactly what we want, as far as, wood chips, what things you want in there, and then we'll put it out, and then you guys will pick the contractor. Or, I don't know if you would, or the board would, or.
I think it's important that, in addition to the modules, I'll call it the playground for the sake of discussion, that maybe there's things surrounding it that we want to do to the park itself, benches, picnic tables, something, in case we do. I think that's, should be discussed as part of the plan, overall plan.
And you guys kind of did that, great point, but you guys kind of did that the last couple of years, redoing the pavilion, redoing all those benches, all
good.
brand-new garbage cans. So I think where they're at is, this is like the last step to do all that stuff.
Good.
So they already redid the pavilion this year, the bathrooms, so it's kind of been over the last few years that stuff's been getting addressed.
and I think what you're getting at is kind of what we started to develop is we need like a plan, a staged plan for updating the parks and kind of making sure that all the parks are in a rotation of some sort and that we prioritize what needs to happen.
So that in mind, does that mean we'll utilize some of that equipment somewhere else, or?
I do whatever you guys tell me to do, so if that's the plan with it, I can say by auction prices, used playground equipment's about worthless. A playground, I mean, a $100,000 playground is like $1,500 online
But
because
if-
it's all used and nobody wants it, so there's no benefit to selling it. So if the
Right.
village wanted to use
So
it,
if
that'd
we
be a
wanna
good
add
option.
something
Certainly.
existing to,
A current
Yeah,
park.
like the
Park.
swings that are at Chief Jansen could go to a different
Right,
park. And
okay.
yeah, I think that'd be a great idea, because there wouldn't be much money coming to the village from selling it.
perfect, thanks.
Anything else for future agenda? Okay,
I guess I
yep.
do, because we're getting close to it. Is the Winterfest, no, a thing anymore, or is that gone? Okay.
That is gone, yeah. Ice skating rinks will be a go.
As long as we get a winter,
Okay.
absolutely. So hopefully not.
Maybe roller skating?
maybe we can have in your director's updates next month, Matt, like the planning around skate rinks, et cetera,
Okay.
for winter.
Sure.
Okay, anything else? Hearing nothing, the
Motion
Park-
to adjourn?
oh, thank you.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:15.